So we are about halfway through the college football season, so I thought it would be fun to look back at some of my preseason takes. While most people would champion what they got right, and a lot of people do in the sports world, I actually want to talk about where I was wrong, because no one really does that in the college football world specifically. Instead, they usually make excuses and say you misunderstood what I said. But I want this channel to be focused around accountability, and I love to tell stories that may not end up becoming true, but getting to talk about some schools that don't usually get all the attention. So these are 3 preseason takes that did not age well. But before we get into this, if you enjoy college football content like this, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Also, let me know what preseason take you had that did not age well in the comment section below, or feel free to dunk on me on how stupid I was in the comment section below as well. 2021, Gundy signed a perpetual contract with Oklahoma State that automatically renews at the end of each year. Last year, Oklahoma State lost to Texas in the Big 12 title game, but finished 10-4 and beat Texas A&M in the Texas Bowl. Heading into the 2024 season, Oklahoma State could be in a position to win their first Big 12 title since 2011, returning a veteran roster that dealt with a lot of adversity last year after starting the season 2-2 and struggling against Central Arkansas, winning the game 27-13 at home, but getting embarrassed at home by South Alabama 33-7, leaving many in the college football world shocked. They would go on to win 8 of their last 10 games, including wins over number 23 Kansas and number 10 Oklahoma, with their only 2 losses during the stretch coming to number 7 Texas and on the road against UCF. Gundy rebuilt an unsteady locker room with a consistent message and demeanor throughout the season, which many of the team leaders credited for them being able to bounce back after that South Alabama loss. Running back Ollie Gordon ran for 1,732 yards and 21 touchdowns and was talked about in the Heisman conversation for part of the season last year and returns heading into 2024. Along with that, quarterback Alan Bowman returns for his 7th year after a medical hardship waiver, and will have 2 strong weapons when it comes to Brendan Presley, who had 101 catches for 991 yards and 6 touchdowns last season, as well as Rashad Owens, who had 63 catches for 895 yards and 5 touchdowns. Oklahoma State also has a favorable non-conference schedule, though they may get tested playing against South Dakota State and Arkansas at home. They host Utah and Texas Tech and avoid having to play Kansas, Arizona, UCF, and Iowa State, with those 6 teams being the 6 of the top 7 favored teams to win the Big 12 this season. They do have to go on the road to take on Kansas State, who has the 2nd highest odds to win the Big 12 this year, as well as close out the season on the road taking on Colorado and Boulder, with the Buffaloes being a major wildcard team heading into year 2 under Deion Sanders. So what are the problems when it comes to Oklahoma State? Well, although Alan Bowman has a ton of experience at the college level, last year he struggled throwing for 15 touchdowns as a whole as teams will prepare to stop Gordon, who was a Doak Walker Award winner last year. Everybody also knows Ollie Gordon's name heading into this season, unlike last year. All Pokes FN wrote this month, Gordon could see a similar drop-off to Chuba Hubbard following the 2019 campaign. After leading the country in rushing yards with 2,094 yards as a sophomore, Hubbard ran for 625 yards in 7 games in 2020, dropping to only 4.7 yards per carry. Hubbard was effective, but not to the extent he could carry the Cowboys' offense. There are also some concerns when it comes to their defense, but it should be a solid unit. Many felt that Oklahoma State got lucky in some of their games last year, with the Cowboys going 5-1 in 1-score games last season, and it looks like a bunch of their games are toss-up games heading into this season. That's probably why they have the 8th best odds to win the Big 12 this season, because it's hard to win that many toss-up games in back-to-back years. But they are returning 21 starters from last year's team, and are projected to go 9-3 overall and 6-3 in Big 12 play according to the pre-spring 24/7 Sports projections. But this team is motivated, with Gundy telling the press, guys are determined to get back to that Big 12 championship game and actually get that ring. It kind of stung us a little bit. They want to finish strong. They want to get the college playoff experience sometime, and hopefully next year is that year. Oklahoma State had everything in front of them to put together a great season this year. While things looked good on paper, that does not always lead to success on the field. They would beat South Dakota State 44-20 before needing double overtime to beat Arkansas 39-31 in week 2. They then rebounded by blowing Tulsa out 45-10. But since then, their season has become a nightmare. They lost at home to Utah 22-19, or being blown out by Kansas State 42-20. They then got another blowout loss at home to West Virginia 38-14, but last week had to be the most heartbreaking. Oklahoma State took a 35-31 lead over BYU with 1:13 left, but would let the Cougars drive down the field and score a touchdown with 10 seconds left, to fall 38-35 and to fall to 3-4 after starting 3-0. Oklahoma State has an 18-year bowl streak that fans are starting to worry that it may come to an end with a tough schedule to close out the season. Baylor looks much better than they did a few weeks ago and are coming off a 59-point outburst. They then host Arizona State, who has had a strong season so far and may have their starting quarterback return. They then travel to Fort Worth to take on TCU, who are hosting Texas Tech and closing the regular season on the road against Colorado, who is looking legit at this point of the season. They need 3 wins to even become bowl eligible and are favored in 2 of their games against Arizona State and Texas Tech, meaning they are expected to finish 5-7. How did a team coming off a 10-win season and a Big 12 championship game appearance that retained the nation's leading rusher, his entire offensive line, and essentially every other key contributor on offense and defense get one of the worst Power 4 teams so quickly? According to the Stillwater News Press, this team looked poorly coached all season long. Alan Bowman has held on to the ball too long all season and has not looked like a 7th-year senior, only completing 59.2% of his passes for 1,738 yards, 13 touchdowns, and an absurd 9 interceptions. Ollie Gordon has been shut down by opposing teams, only having 491 rushing yards and 6 touchdowns on the ground, having 108 receiving yards and a touchdown through the air. He is averaging 70.14 rushing yards per game, while last year he averaged 123.7 rushing yards per game. The defense has also struggled against the run, allowing 237.9 rushing yards per game against opponents, including 389 rushing yards to West Virginia, ranking them the 3rd worst Power 4 defense against the run as of October 5th. The team has also been crushed by injuries as well. Oklahoma State went from favorites in the Big 12 to one of the worst teams in the Big 12 and has truly been shocking and a complete disaster. Mike Gundy might have a major rebuild on his hands. Last year would be an interesting year for NC State as they replaced Devin Leary with Virginia transfer Brennan Armstrong after Leary transferred to Kentucky. MJ Morris also got playing time throughout the season as well. After losing to Louisville to start the season 3-2, Morris was named the starter, where he went 3-1 as the starter, throwing for 719 yards, 7 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions, while completing 55.8% of his passes. After their 20-6 win over Miami, Morris chose to preserve his red shirt and step down as a starter. Morris had been the first true freshman to start a game for the Wolfpack since Phillip Rivers back in 2022. Morris had burned his red shirt in 2022 after playing 5 games before getting hurt and was told by Doran that he was only going to play in 2023 if Armstrong was hurt. Morris didn't want to waste 2 years of his eligibility only playing half a season and had all the intention to stay at NC State. A week after the decision, Coach Doran called Morris into his office and the two decided they were going to go their separate ways, but there was no bad blood according to Morris. Led by Armstrong, NC State would win their next 3 games to finish the regular season 9-3. They just needed 1 win for their 2nd double-digit winning season in school history. Sadly, they would lose the Pop-Tart Bowl to Kansas State 28-19. Heading into the 2024 season, guys like Josh Pate and other TV personalities have made their case on why NC State is a college football playoff dark horse. Pate said on his show a few weeks back, North Carolina State's a playoff contender here now. North Carolina State is 1 notch below the top ACC contenders with an 8.5 projected win total. This is a really sneaky good offense. It could end up being one of the best offenses in the conference, and it's a team that's known for defense. I think that may regress a little bit this year, but it will be made up from an aggregate because Grayson McCall transferred there. Kevin Concepcion is probably a wide receiver you don't know about, and you should know about, because if he played in Austin, he would be a star and he'd probably be on the cover of magazines this year. They've got a really strong offensive line and they got a really good secondary. Grayson McCall, after throwing for 10,005 passing yards in 4 years at Coastal Carolina, would choose to transfer to put himself on a national stage this upcoming season. NC State has a relatively favorable schedule, avoiding Florida State, Miami, Louisville, Virginia Tech, and SMU, who all have preseason over-under win totals of 8.5 or better. They travel on the road to take on Tennessee and Clemson, but have the schedule to finally win 10 games. They go 10-2, they'll be in the conversation for the college football playoff. The program has never finished a season ranked in the top 10 in program history. They have 1 double-digit winning season in their 118 years of history and have not played for an ACC title since 1979. This year could be a historic year as NC State opens up the season on Thursday, October 29th at 8 p.m. Eastern on the ACC Network, ranked as the 24th team in the AP Preseason poll. Well, things have not gone well for NC State this season as Dave Doeren will not lead them to a 10-win season this year. I bought the NC State hype this year and went to their Week 1 matchup against Western Carolina. Side note, I met some amazing people. Atlas, if you're watching, you and your buddy were awesome, and that game got me sweating out of places I never knew you could sweat, with it being 95 degrees and 100% humidity for a Thursday night kickoff. Welcome to the South, I guess. They struggled against Western Carolina, not pulling away until the end before getting demolished on ABC against Tennessee in Charlotte 51-10. They then struggled against Louisiana Tech heading into half down 17-6 and tied 20-20 heading into the fourth quarter before pulling away in the fourth to win 30-20. The Clemson game would not even be close as the Tigers were up 45-7 at half and 59-14 heading into the fourth quarter before pulling their starters, and the Wolfpack scored 21 garbage time points to make the score look closer than it really was. Northern Illinois then pushed them to the brink in Raleigh with the Wolfpack surviving 24-17. They then had back-to-back losses to Wake Forest and Syracuse, both at home before traveling to Berkeley and beating Cal 24-23, who was without their star running back this past weekend. The rushing offense has not been good this year, as they are averaging 40 less yards per game than last year. They are only averaging 117.4 yards per game on the ground as of October 14th. Before he got hurt and ended up retiring this week, Grayson McCall did not look as good as he did at Coastal Carolina, while freshman CJ Bailey has, well, looked like a freshman in relief of McCall. A few weeks ago, they dropped under 500 for the first time since 2019. As of October 14th, they were allowing 32.3 points per game on defense, which was the second worst in the ACC. According to ESPN's matchup predictor, NC State is only favored in one of their 4 remaining games, meaning there's a chance they may not even make a bowl game. They host Stanford and Duke before traveling on the road to take on Georgia Tech and North Carolina to finish the season. If they do miss a bowl game, it would be an insane turn of events from preseason college football playoff contender to instead bottom of the ACC. 2023, the offense was once again a mess, struggling to remain consistent. Once again, the Clemson offensive line struggled to take over in games and did not perform well. Cade Klubnik also did not take the next step. Clemson Wire wrote back in January, situational awareness was lacking, and Klubnik failed to show everyone why he was such a highly touted recruit. Add in the struggles at wide receiver with health and explosiveness, the Tigers really didn't have a shot in 2023. Clemson would go 9-4 last year and had their worst record in the ACC since 2010, going 4-4 in conference play. Clemson fans will hope that the offense can take the next step this year, as they should have another elite defense like they always do. Rather than having national title expectations this year, they are being labeled as a surprise team that could make some noise. Bill Steele wrote, head coach Dabo Swinney's lack of transfer portal use has been criticized, but Steele believes the team's continuity will be a strength with numerous returning starters, including quarterback Cade Klubnik. Not to mention, no active coach has more college football playoff appearances than Swinney now that Nick Saban has retired. Clemson returns a lot of their offense from 2023, and their success will hinge on what Cade Klubnik can do and whether their offensive line can improve as well. They will be tested almost immediately, taking on number 1 Georgia in their opening matchup in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. They then host a tough App State team before starting ACC play against NC State. They then host Stanford before Florida State comes to town, followed by Wake Forest on the road. Virginia Tech and Louisville at home for a massive road trip to Virginia Tech, followed by a trip to Pitt, before ending the season at home against the Citadel and South Carolina. Phil Steele projects Clemson to win the ACC this season, and they should return to the college football playoff if they do so. It would be their first appearance since 2020. But there's also a wild scenario where they can start the season off 0-3, and from there the season could fall apart. If it does happen, may Clemson look to make a change? Who knows? What do you think? Can Clemson return to the college football playoff this year? Let me know in the comment section below. We're going to end this video on more of a positive note. And well, I kind of knew my Clemson video earlier this year was not going to age well, and it is why I released it right before the Georgia game. After being absolutely destroyed by Georgia, where the offense looked dead in the water during week 1, this team has looked completely different, averaging 48.5 points per game since that Georgia game, which would be more than Miami's 47 points per game, which is leading the nation. With their 3 points against Georgia, the Tigers are averaging 42 points per game, which ranks 7th in the nation. Cade Klubnik has been lights out, throwing for 1,836 yards, 20 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions so far this season. Adam Brenneman of College Football Power Hours said recently, Cade Klubnik is scary good this season. Everyone wants to talk about Dylan Gabriel at Oregon, Cam Ward at Miami, Ohio State, and Will Howard, while Cade Klubnik just sits in the shadows and continues balling out at Clemson. Phil Maffa also has been impressive, rushing for 682 yards on the ground and 6 touchdowns. Their defense has also been impressive since that Georgia game, only allowing more than 21 points per game in 2 of their last 6 games, with one of those games occurring against NC State, where they let up 21 points in garbage time, so it's more like 5 of their last 6 games they've shut out opposing offenses. Clemson is back in the college football playoff conversation and are favorites to play for the ACC title this year. And those are 3 of my preseason takes that did not age well so far this year. What preseason take did not age well for you? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out one of my other videos YouTube thinks you will love right here. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, remember to embrace the grind.